You know what's best for you. Stay true to yourselves. Do not allow the media, the press, the higher ups to control you or control the narrative. He says, the end. I think he's saying it kind of, that's it. The end. You are in charge, no one else. We're going to be diving in off the deep end and we're going to be talking about, what the system doesn't want you to know. I mean, it sure tells you what it wants you to know, the narrative of what it wants you to believe. It wants you to know, but what does it really not want you to know? So this is what we're going to be talking about today.
Because sometimes the best action that you can do is just to wait, or just things come in divine timing. So you can't always put the cart before the horse, and I know indigos love to do that.
We should do.
We always like to go fast, 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 and I know a lot of people like to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not always meant to be like that. It's the same way in, like, people come right out of high school, they want to go to college or they want to go to these universities, and they don't know anything about themselves. They've gone through not many hardships. They haven't been toughened up. They don't know what direction to go in their passion. They're just following what people are telling them, what society is telling them, and they're not checking in to see what their heart says. And some people, they'll feel what their heart says, and it feels like crap. And there's a reason for that. There is definitely a reason for that. And you can't just keep pushing through. But because I know so many people that keep pushing through, many friends that I've had, or just many people I've known that just keep pushing through all the way to the end. They get the degree, and then they don't even want to use the degree at the end of the day. Or they keep pushing through, and then it comes to the fourth year, and the pressure builds up so much that they have a panic attack and they quit out of university.
You got to follow your intuition, your internal guidance system. It always steers you in the right direction. I remember pushing against the grain, I think is what we're talking about, pushing against the current and trying to row against the current. And I said, okay, when I started talking with my guardian angel, I said, okay, we're going to do it your way. Let's see how this goes. So all I could see was a little boat in a stream, and put the oars in the boat, Kristin, and hang back and relax and let the stream, the current of high vibrational energy, just steer your ship. So I just let them. And it was so much easier instead of paddling against this current. Like it just makes life harder. Makes things, and then you become more unhappy, and then maybe you self-sabotage by binge drinking on the weekends, etc., trying to cope with life, right? Okay, so I'm just going to come down into the questions that I've channeled from Spirit, and then of course we're going to take your guys' questions as well. Why does the system produce a negative narrative online with the news, with the press, and then many times publicly declaring falsehoods? Why do you think that is on a regular basis?
That's where a lot of the society's at. A lot of people like fear, and a lot of people, that's just where the society's been at for a long time with a lot of people on Earth. It's because, this top-down system where there's people in higher positions that had more power and stuff, they would use fear a lot of times. You look at kings and queens, they would a lot of times use fear in order to control the people. And that's just where society is at, and they're attracted to that. A lot of people are attracted to fear. They see what's happening. It can be addicting at times, and I feel a lot of people go towards that. But you see now there's a huge shift in people not even getting television or watching the news, or they don't even know. They've never watched the news for years now. So people are getting their news from other sources like YouTube and things like that.
And I find they're thinking before they believe. They're like, really, is this really the narrative? Is this really the truth? Or is this what they want me to believe?
Yeah. It's crazy because like I know there's a lot of people now, they're getting their news from just other places, like, and it's putting the power back into people's hands.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll see people reporting on the news on TikTok, on YouTube, and
Yeah.
you're getting
Yep.
a lot different perspectives than what this fear mongering thing keeps pumping out at
Yeah.
people. So I think that's also cool. But
I think it's double backed on the Canadian government banning any news being shown what's happening in Canada. And then Facebook and Instagram, Meta, has decided that they aren't going to pay the Canadian news broadcasters. And so they're not pumping out any news whatsoever. And so basically put, no one in Canada knows unless you want to go to the, specific websites to see what's going on in Canada. But what that's done is it's put the power back into individuals' hands. So the only real way that you're going to go and get the news is by going to the websites directly, or there's a ton of individuals popping up on TikTok sharing the news through their personal channels, which is pretty awesome. So it's really essentially just put the narrative and the power back in the people's hands, which I think is great.
and it's all about the energy of the people. Like once the energy of the people shifts, these things no longer become a thing anymore. Like these news stations and the way that they're doing things, it's no longer to become a thing. It's the same way in like you see how movie theaters are in movies now. It's
Yeah,
almost like that's kind of toppling over, and a lot of
yeah.
the movies that they were making, like lots of horror movies and things like that, they're not as popular as they once were, or just movies in general. It's pretty
I
crazy.
remember watching Matt Damon, and he was being interviewed, and he says, like, I wanted to make a romantic comedy, but the budget's high and we can't get the money out of the movie or the project like we once could. So we just couldn't do that. So it's anything that's, more of a fluff piece or positive, like people aren't going to watch it. So I'm not going to make the movie. And I found that really interesting. And I remember sitting in just recently, a couple months ago, watching Avatar 2. And James Cameron comes on the screen and is like really urging people to go to the movie theaters to watch movies. Please come and watch the movies. This is where you want to see it on the big screen. But it was like this urgency from him. And then they had all the actors from Avatar, almost like it felt like, really, please come
Yeah,
and
they're kind
watch the
of panicking.
movie. Panicking because really, I've never seen that before. A director and all the actors begging you to go to the movie theaters to watch the movie. What it's telling me is things ain't good in the movie theaters, and people are interested in watching things at home, and it's cheaper at home. And quite frankly, I really think that we're going to see movie theaters starting to close.
Yeah,
That's what.
last time I went to the movies, that I was talking to my angels, and they were like on me, and they were like, "Well, enjoy this because it's probably one of the last times that you're gonna come here, or
Uh,
because in the future there may not be many movie theaters
yeah,
out there."
there won't be as
It's pretty
many.
crazy.
It'll be like something special that maybe you go to once in a while. Well, that's very interesting, and I think there's a lot of higher ups that pay off the press in order to spew their narrative, in order to, but the public doesn't even want to hear it anymore. So I think that that's good. I think that the main point is to follow your intuition, your internal guidance system. So whatever you're watching, feel. Create a quiet mind and feel. Is this important for me to listen to? Is it important for me to believe? Is this important? Period. And I think that that's what people are doing. So the more people that start to awaken on the planet, they're starting to question these things, which I think is brilliant. All right. How about the next question here? Why is it important to create separation and continued lack thinking mindset? So everyone who is uh, got a leg up or control of the system, control of the people, if you will, if you want to see it that way. Why is it important for them to create separation and lack-minded thinking within you? Why is it that No other animal on planet Earth does this except for us. Why is it important?
When you have people divided, and it's a lot easier to control people,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a lot easier to have more chaos happening or people more distracted. If people
Yeah.
are always distracted, from these constant things happening, whether it's wars, whether it's pandemics, whether it's this, and they have a whole system, of profiting off of this, of these
Mm-hmm.
companies, from the military industrial complex, all of these things. They're always trying to look for the most amount of profit, and one of the best ways to do that is to have people distracted. Because if you don't, people gather together, they're not going to accept this type of behavior anymore. This type
Yeah.
of, you know,
So
yeah.
create separation, which it controls, and then you're not noticing what's really going on in the world because you're so centrally focused on scrambling to
Yeah.
pay what you need to
Yeah.
pay to make a living. And things are really, I remember saying to a friend of mine recently, like I've been here for 40 plus years. And the last 3 years, I'm seeing things that I've never seen on planet Earth. Things are what I would call dire for sure. However, the angels often remind me that sometimes things have to get worse before rules are implemented, changes are implemented in order for things to get better. But really, also, I've also heard, the news tightens. So when things get worse, when things get more difficult, and there's this narrative and this separation, you can be separated if you want to be. It's not out of your control to connect with others. And this is the part that I want to focus in on is continued lack thinking. I don't have enough. I'm not going to be able to pay this. Okay. So when you change this, you watch as you bring in a different outcome. Okay. Because you're creating, you are partially creating. So you are co creating. If you want something different, ask your spiritual team to help you bring in abundance. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But you also play a role. You are also responsible for having more of an abundant mindset. And if you can't go from lack thinking to abundant thinking, at least just temporarily focus on other things that you enjoy and stop the worry and the fear thinking of how you're going to get things paid, etc. Just turn your attention off of it. Go have a tea with a friend. Maybe go to a Tuesday matinee cheap movie. Whatever you got to do to take your attention off of it, so that you stop the hamster wheel temporarily. Now you've asked your spiritual team, let them step in and start assisting you. Okay, because when we look at every single animal on planet Earth, no one does this except for us. It's almost like the societal norm. It's important to step out of that societal norm and do things a different way. If you want a different outcome, you're going to have you will need to produce different thoughts, because everything that's taking place in your life right now is in part due to the thoughts that you've had in the weeks, months, years leading up to this. This is what we've created. So if we want a different story, if we want a different life, if we want something different outside of ourselves, it only makes sense that you're going to need different thoughts playing
Yeah,
out in
and
your
I
mind.
noticed when we talk about, like, knowing the truth and looking for the truth in things, we're not talking about going down rabbit holes all the time
Mhm.
and like looking at conspiracy theories and things like that. Some of the lowest vibrational people I've known, they're like, I want the truth. I'm a truth seeker or something. And they're
Mhm.
always wanting to know what's right and what's wrong, and like delving in deep to like all of this like really negative stuff, and like trying to figure out, is it even important for me to know this, even if it is true, even if this, is it even important for me to place my focus there and lower my frequency that low so that I can keep searching for this. We're just saying, oh, follow your heart. How do you feel when you're watching certain things? Which direction do you feel like going in that feels best, that feels the most high vibrational? So
Going
that's
down rabbit
that's my
holes.
truth.
I have to learn. It's very ungrounding. It's very ungrounding, and most of it isn't even important to
Yeah.
know where. And you give your power away rather than taking your power back and focusing on the stuff that's important. Okay, so here's the next question. What would the world look like if we promoted self-love, abundance mindset, and self-growth along with meditation and other forms of rebalancing? What would the world even look like?
I think it looked like the new Earth, huh? But I think it's very important for people to start like shifting in this direction of self-love, because that's one of the main, things that I see even in the spiritual community. They're like, oh, why do I keep, getting in these relationships that they're not treating me right, and blah blah blah. It's a lot of victim mindset, and it always comes down to 99% of the time self-love. So that's what I
Loving yourself. Yeah. And I had no concept of what that was about 18 years ago. No clue. But I was guided to look in a mirror and do mirror work, look myself in the eye and send it out. And then I woke up one morning, I started to feel it. I started feeling different. And I thought, oh, okay, this is good. I actually feel better. So we don't have to have all the answers as we step forth on that path, but move in the direction that feels good, that feels right. Because if something continues to not feel good and you are maybe not being treated the way you should be treated, then it's time to make some changes. It's really important that we do this individually, so then therefore we are moving collectively in this direction.
I
Okay.
was I was gonna ask you, so like when you give readings to certain people and the angels recommend for self-love or self-love exercises, or recommend that they start loving themselves more, what do the people usually say when you relay that guidance to them?
It's usually quiet and a bit somber and a disconnect and a feeling of that they know that this is happening, or they're made aware that this is, oh yeah, this is happening. And then it's you know it's, well, how do I get there?
Yeah, or a lot of times it's denial. I feel like
Oh,
they're like, oh,
interesting.
I do love myself.
Right.
Well,
Yeah. I think when you have someone older like myself saying it, I don't usually get that response. Whereas
okay,
who's giving a reading who's younger, like yourself,
yeah,
relaying the guidance to someone older, what I've learned since meeting you, and also having other connections where they're younger than me. I used to think that I knew everything. I used to think that I knew everything, and that I knew what was best. But what I've come to realize is that I don't, and that there is a lot to be learned from the younger generation, and to get out of my own way. This entitlement or this ego type of mindset that I have, and actually listen to the younger generation and what they have to say, because they know a lot. They know their stuff. They're smart.
yeah.
The truth will set you free, and the truth is that anything is possible. So please give thought to that which you want to create instead of focusing on what you do not have, what you hate, and what bothers you on a regular basis. Okay? So if you find yourself really focusing on what you hate or what you don't like in the world, yeah, you can keep doing that. Keep sending your energy there. Every time you do that, you're just giving it more energy. Or you can shift the narrative and move in a different direction and start creating something that you really like, and being, focus on what you want to create. And then call on your team of angels, your spirit guides, your loved ones, and they'll all step forward and help you bring it in. They're all waiting. They're just waiting. They
Yeah,
don't sleep, they don't eat.
I think trusting and just believing, but trusting mainly, is one of the best ways to manifest. just trusting in your
Mm-hmm.
team, trusting in yourself, trusting in the process. And of course, you're going to go and worry here and worry there. But in the end, a lot of worrying and, you know, negative self-talk and this stuff, this is going to, stop that from happening. Not stop it from
But
happening.
slow
It's
it
going to slow things down
down.
a lot.
Yeah.
So if you want things to speed up, I think trusting in the process
Mm-hmm.
and trusting in your heart and trusting in your team to bring things in for you,
Mm-hmm.
bring in different opportunities, whatever it is. And then ultimately, it's all a circle. So if you're trusting in them and then they present an opportunity in you and you don't doubt yourself at that moment, maybe you do have fear and you doubt, but you trust yourself enough to go ahead and take the opportunity and move forward with it. So
And what if you think all of this is a big bunch of fluff? Oh, there's no angels, there's no this. No, that's fine. That's totally fine. Just ask anyways. Ask. Make a list. Put at the top, manifestation list. This is what I want. And then you can clarify in the future how you want it even more or even better or even, oh, and I want this instead of this. Okay. And then you can cross it off. But believing is nice. But sometimes, even for me, sometimes sometimes I have to see it, even for myself. Some of the stuff I'm like, really? And then I'm like, oh, really? So, yeah, I agree. I agree with everything. Yep. Is it important to inform yourself, but then give thought to how you want it to be? What you want your life to look like and how you want the world to be, but is it important for you to really give thought to how you want things to be? I think it's important.
yeah, I think it's very important to state your intentions or write them down on a piece of paper. How do you want things to be? How do you want to feel in the future?
Mm-hmm.
What do you see yourself becoming? A lot of people say you can fake it till you make it. If you want to be more confident person in the future, just step off and do things anyways, and just fake it. Basically, that's what I noticed that pretty much everyone does on YouTube. Like literally everyone doesn't think that they're like worthy enough or they doubt themselves a lot. They just go ahead and do it and step off and just see how things go because nothing's going to be perfect. A lot of people try to get things perfect, and this is so many people I see. They'll like film a video and then they'll quit and they'll start again. They'll start like 3 or 4 times, but at least in the end they do it. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I
I think
mean, anybody who steps forward in front of many people, I say hats off to you, period. I noticed I was doing that in the beginning with self-love. I mean, I didn't feel it. It was really like, okay, well, we'll just do the steps that I was guided to do. I'll do the mirror work. I looked at myself in the eye. I said, I love you. And I would do that 10 times in a row, 3 times a week. And I didn't believe any of it. But, really, that faking it till you make it, it works. It really does. Because if you want something to be different, you're going to have to do something different. Because the same old is just going to produce the same old, isn't it?
yeah,
Okay.
and if you overanalyze, that's going to I don't know what that saying is, overanalyzation, and then it creates paralyzation. It paralyzes you
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
you
You can paralyze or
overthink
create
things too much.
stagnancy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with channeling spirit, nobody in school teaches us this. I mean, heck, I was as unawake could be up until I kind of got a dose of this maybe around the age of 21. I was like, oh, okay. And then I went right back to being unawake and partying and not caring until my health failed me. And then, that moved me on to a whole different path, which actually was a huge blessing, really, when I look back at it. But why is it that we don't learn channeling? We don't learn how to connect with our intuition, our gut feeling, our insights. Okay. We're all channeling all the time. We're just doing it unconsciously versus what we can bring about consciously as mediums. Well, and a lot of people I find that they kind of turn their emotions off. So they don't know what they feel. And then also, you try to practice with them. Okay, feel where your angels are in the room. And they're like, I don't feel anything. So then it's a matter of systematically or slowly, bit by bit, turning your emotions back on so you can feel. But I think that individuals that have had certain incarnations off Earth, like Arcturian, for example, that's more of a mental being, and as far as emotions. So you take yourself from that experience and then you come to Earth and all of a sudden you're asked to feel emotions.
Yeah.
It can be kind of difficult.
It's funny. It was so interesting to see the contrast between me and my twin brother going throughout
yeah.
school. And he was, just going through school. He was excelling at it more than I, and I really hated it a lot more than he did. But he didn't like it either. Even he had pretty much all Arcturian lifetimes, and he's very cerebral, and he still hated school too, and he even homeschooled with me for a little while too. So
as far as channeling and conscious channeling, I think is really important to learn how to channel. I think it's important to learn how to connect in with your spiritual team. I'm one that's been teaching mediumship for beginners for 6 years now. Isn't that amazing? It's been 6 years. And you also helped me teach this course coming up. It's coming November 15th until the 29th. $111 for a 2-week course if anyone's interested. Now, if you're not drawn to me, maybe you're drawn to some other type of mediumship class or course, go for it. Some things cannot be ignored any longer. Please bring about more awareness, knowledge, and then the changes that help and benefit all, not just yourself, not just oneself. Okay? So I channel that from spirit. So some things cannot be ignored anymore. Don't ignore. And please bring about more awareness. So speak up and talk about things. And the knowledge and then the changes that help and benefit everyone, not just oneself. So when the tough gets tough, and it's going to get a little tougher, that's what I hear Spirit tell me on a regular. It's about helping each other, not just yourself. Okay? That's really important. Do we want to take any questions in the comments? And also, I'll see if there's a message that would like to come through, and we'll see maybe if you want to pick up on a message too.
yeah, I already feel it coming in. He's saying, greetings, dear ones. He's saying, ultimately, we are here to guide people in the way of what feels best to you, always moving into a better feeling place. He's kind of like cracking a joke a little bit, like saying that this road here on Earth can be a very difficult one, and we know that there's easier ways or better ways to go about things that can make the ride much smoother. He's talking about finding what's best for you in the moment. What is best for you? You see what society says. You see what these other people say in your life. He's saying, don't go out to them and search and preach to them or talk to them about self-awareness and stuff. If they're not willing to, listen, or if they're not willing to, they're just in a totally different vibrational frequency. He's talking about getting in around people that are in your lane, kind of, or in your vibrational frequency. It makes things a lot easier. And he's saying, if you can't find these types of people that feel like that you resonate with yet, then it's time for a period of isolation or finding people online. He's talking about there's lots to be learned in isolation. There's lots to be learned, lots of growth. He's talking about how Jesus spent times in isolation, and these are the times when he would find the most amount of growth. So one final thing he's saying is that's why it's always important to shift the energy first, and then go out and do what you want to do. So he's using this as an example. Say you want to have a YouTube channel or something. It's very important to maybe have a period of isolation or meditation for a while, just so that you can shift your energy and then jump off and do it. And that might be a better option than just saying, oh, I don't know how I feel. I'm just going to go out and do it,
Yeah. ground your energy, get into a better feeling place.
He's saying ultimately you're still going to feel that fear, that doubt, or non-worthiness when you do go to step off, but in the end, you have that base that you've built, that energetic base, and then you go off and do it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Boy, you can sure feel his energy. It's really strong. He feels very masculine and large, and he's right. Like you can always feel where your angels are in the room. All you have to do is quiet your mind and then turn your face and see where the energy bucks up against your body and your face. It's the same with Archangel Michael. When he's ready to talk, he'll come near and you can feel his energy up against your body, and anyone can do this. Okay, you know what is best for you. If you do not like or do not enjoy, or you do not feel that others are in vibrational alignment with yourself, move in a different direction. Do not stand in line with them. If you are labeled the black sheep, if you are labeled, the outcast, so be it. So be it. So be it. Spend time in isolation should you wish, should you need. And when you come out of this cocoon, you shall spread your wings and fly. And he's showing like a beautiful butterfly. Others may not understand where what changes are happening to you, and they may not understand the spiritual growth that is taking place or the awakening process, and that's okay. That's where they are. Some will, some won't, and so what, in a sense, right? So some are going to change and some aren't. And it's like, know your worth, stand your ground, bring about awareness to what is going on in the world. Do not delay. Do not delay. Do not delay. This is Archangel Michael. Perfect. Thank you. He's going to be right here to answer the questions, he's telling me. Ooh. All right. All right. Mm-hmm. So that's a great question. Is it necessary for all of these bad things that are taking place on Earth? Okay, so we see a lot of these things being not great. They're not great. They don't feel great. There's a lot of things that are happening that aren't great. Is it necessary that we have these things unfolding on Earth in order to move into the new Earth? And the answer is, part of it is our free will choosing. So a lot of us are making our own decisions that are primarily self-focused. So I'm thinking about myself, and I'm going to make this decision while thinking about myself. And so there are selfishness going on, okay, and that's being produced as we move forward into the new earth, and we have our own free will decision making to make, and we're seeing a lot of that. So we're seeing, landlords upping the rent, 50%, because I feel like it. We're seeing people, break into businesses, and because they want to, because they're not going to get prosecuted. We're seeing the people in charge making decisions, just letting migrants flood the borders because they want to. So we're seeing a lot of things happen from free will, right? He's asking us to not allow others to rock our boat too much. So don't allow others to rock your boat. And the more you focus gradually, bit by bit, on what you want to create in your reality, so shall it be. These outside experiences happening on earth will not rock your boat as much. You won't notice them as much. Let the unawakened ones run amok on their own. And He says that's easier said than done, especially when you are in the center of the ones running amok. So, meaning if you're the one that owns the storefront that's getting robbed and broken into repeatedly, you may then need to make different decisions and move to a different location uh, or hunker down. There's that option too.
You don't always have to go through hardships in order to grow, is what I've realized. You can just keep winning and winning and progressing like that, and progressing in confidence and growing as a person. You don't always have to be, you know, going through these terrible things all the time in order for you to grow. But that's how it's been on Earth for a long time, and that's what's going to happen for a lot of these people here on Earth. For that's just what's going to happen for Earth, because people, that's like one of the only ways for these people to wake up. They're so entrenched, they're so like this. That's the only way for them to get out of it is to hit rock bottom. Some of these people.
Oh,
But
I was one of those
yeah.
people. If I hadn't hit rock bottom,
Me too.
I would never be
Yeah.
here where I am now. You know where I'd be? I'd probably be at some pub,
Yeah.
hanging out with my 50-year-old girlfriends, having drinks. That's where I'd be, 100%. I wouldn't, there's no way I'd be here. Okay, here's a question. I have I have asked for signs in certain situations. So the answer to this, the sign that you received, Laura, do not doubt yourself. That's what I'm receiving. And that's coming from your guardian angel, your female guardian angel. And she's pretty like focused. Like she's really laser focused. It's time. It's time for more awareness. It's time for you to wake up a little bit more. So it's time for you to move forward in the awakening process more so. And it's time for you to pick up on what's going on around you. And there's going to be more signs to come. All right. So some of us are like, man, I see 1111 all the time, and I'm seeing 444 and 333 and 222, and I'm seeing all these signs, and I'm being drawn to look at things. Like all of a sudden I'm looking at the clock, and all of a sudden I'm looking at this sign. Well, because spirit around you wants you to notice. They want you to awaken. They want to send you messages. So either you're going to sit and practice channeling, and you're going to learn how to do it, or they're going to send you signs, and then you can Google angel number 444. What does it mean? Okay. It's the beginning. It is the step off point of spirit getting your attention.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that great?
And get into the body, get into the heart, get into the body.
Quiet.
There's always something to say about the, gut feeling or feeling in the heart. That's important too.
Ask for specific signs, Laura. See what comes up. I remember asking my angels, I'm like, I want to see feathers. I want to see three shots of feathers today. And I did. Feathers. And then my aunt's neighbor came in, and he opened his vest, and he had this down vest and all feathers all over the floor. And I was like, geez, that's number 3. And it's all over the floor at my feet. And he's like, do you have any tape for me to tape up the inside of my down vest? I was like, okay, you got my attention. I was like, that was pretty awesome. I find it hard to keep the balance about thinking how I want things to be and staying content and appreciative of what I have and how my life is now. Any suggestions? Oh, I love both of those in tandem, personally.
What were the questions again?
So it's about the balance between how you want things to be versus how you appreciate and enjoy things to be right now. Oh, I do both at the same time.
Yeah.
I like to look at what I appreciate, bringing in more of the good stuff. People talk about shadow work. What about light work? Why don't we do light work? Bring in more light. What is it that you like about your life? What is it that you appreciate? Pick out small stuff. It's always even the small stuff. Start there. Like, oh, my neighbor's really nice. If that's
ultimately, it's all about just building positive momentum. So if you can find the small things that are light filled in your life, or you count your blessings every day, the more and more you do that, and the more your vibrational
Even if
frequency shifts, you know,
simple.
yeah,
Um,
and this momentum just keeps building and building, and then it starts expanding, whether that's through abundance,
yeah.
or whether that's through abundance of opportunities, of doors opening for you that you are to take. And I think that's really, really cool.
And then the beautiful thing is you don't really have to hone in on how you want things to be. You can just write a manifestation list and leave it there on the table, let them read it, and then they'll get busy and work on it.
Yeah, and you can also have the belief that, when it's all about what you place, meaning to or energy to. So if you have those thoughts of worrying and negativity and things like that, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I was thinking about that. You don't overthink it. Be like, was I thinking about that because of trauma in my past lifetime and blah blah blah. No, it's just you're thinking about that for a little bit, and now you're moving on to something else, and it just slowed. You say, oh, it just slowed me down just for a little bit. It just slowed the momentum down a little bit. I'm still going in the right direction. Always trust. Always.
And some of us have more trauma than others. So if we're going to be perpetually thinking about it, this is what I suggest. It's really worked wonders, not only for myself, but for people that have come to me for readings because the angels have suggested it. Sit, have a powwow, really complain to your angels. Okay. So when you do this, you're going to get it all out of you, free counseling. They're going to transmute it and take it from you. And then you won't be able to think or talk about it as much as you once did in the past. And the hurt just won't be there because they literally go in and they transmute it from within you. And the beautiful thing is, too, that maybe you've got issues going on in your life right now in the present. They then start to work on those. They start working on maybe the people you have issues with at work, making them more nice. Maybe they move to a different position. You never see them again. Thank you. However, which way it's going to work, however, which way it is best. Perfect. All right. Well, I'm just going to see if there's any last message that would like to come through. You know what's best for you. Stay true to yourselves. Do not allow the media, the press, the higher ups to control you or control the narrative. He says, the end. I think he's saying it kind of, that's it. The end. You are in charge, no one else.
I think he also has something to
Just
say.
smiling. I love it. He's just smiling it up. Okay, go ahead.
He's talking about, oh, you see these things, in the news, or you see the higher ups, or these people that are trying to control the narratives of things. He's saying you have two options, and one of them is rage against the machine, buck up against the current, and protest or get all ramped up about it. That's one way to do things. Or we can free ourselves from this cycle of them constantly having power over us. He's saying, in a way, that is them having power over us. If we are projecting rage or we are getting angry about things, that's they're having power over your emotions. So the best thing that we can do is distance ourselves from these things and free yourself. This is what a real warrior does. This is the most brave and most courageous thing to do, is to just free yourself from this. You are above that. You are a child of God, as they say. So be this beacon of light for yourself, and not only for yourself, but for others. For this is what is going to manifest the best outcome within your life. He's saying, this is my advice to you. And that's all he has to say.
That's beautiful. And, for those of us who are awakening, that we are moving and shifting in a different direction, I love this guidance. I know that there's going to be plenty of unawake people that are moving in the direction of other directions. But for me personally, I know where I'm heading and I know where I'm going. And it's really important that we feel what is best within internal guidance system. Love it. Thank you, Paul.
Yeah.
Guys, just to let you know, if you want to book a reading with Paul, he's an amazing medium, okay? And I would know because he first started out in my classes and now he helps me teach my classes. And also, I too have a special going on in October if you'd like to book a reading at 20% off. And also, if you'd like to book the Mediumship for Beginners course, and that's something that's playing on your mind, come and check it out November 15th to the 29th. I'll put both of our contact information above and below this video. Love you
Yeah.
guys.
Bye, everyone. Yeah, this was
Bye.
exciting stuff.
Doodles.
Bye.